Richie Mo'unga, speaking of Tom Brady, speaking of MVP-style guys, last week I think they came out on the breakdown and they basically said that Richie Mo'unga is possibly the greatest Super Rugby player who's ever played. Super Rugby player who's ever played. Are they on the money there? Is he having an all-time great season in Super Rugby this year?
I just think the last 3 years, 4 years, his form at Super Rugby level is exceptional. Like it is. There you go.
Done.
That's what I've got for you.
That was a yes.
I don't want to say yes because there's so many other players that have performed to a high level, but in terms of consistency, his form is just exceptional in that red and black jersey and that system that he just owns. And we've talked about it at length. It's now transferring that to the next level will be the true, I suppose, making of Richie, and that's what that's what the country judges players on, unfortunately. But if you looked at Super Rugby and I don't know what his win ratio is, and I suppose his ability to grab the big moments, but he'd be in the 90%.
Bryn should know, because Bryn would have the same winning ratio, wouldn't he?
Well, yeah, well, I don't want to bring this up because it's a dig at my own team, but he did start at the Blues, so probably not the same winning ratio.
Does that even count?
I think there's been a lot of great players. I think Richie's even said it to himself. I think he's having that Sky Sports Richie Mo'unga All Access is actually on tonight at 9:30. So if you want to watch that, viewers, it goes pretty good.
Great.
But in that we actually got a bit of a sneak peek around that and his thoughts around that, and he knows that there's actually been a lot of great players. You look at the guy previously that wore the number 10 jersey, Dan Carter, who holds the record for the most points and did it for a long period of time in the Crusaders jersey. So, but you've got to put him in that conversation with his consistency and Jip. I think what you said around the big moments in big games, he's done it. He's done it time and time again, and I think when you're having conversations around greatest of all time and Super Rugby, it's those kind of big moment games. That's where you kind of separate yourself and you put yourself in that kind of domain. And I think Richie's done that time and time again for the last 3-4 years within Razor's tenure, and may long that continue for us. But I think he's definitely is in the conversation around it. But I think for him personally, the All Black level is probably the next step that he wants to be judged and be able to put in that, kind of atmosphere around how he was at Super Rugby level, because he's been great at Super Rugby level, but I think he's probably looking forward to hopefully putting that at the next level, at the international level, and so does all of New Zealand, I'm presuming as well.
The grubber kick-off against the Blues when they were behind in Christchurch that turned the game.
Yeah.
It's those plays.
Did you feel the pain?
It still hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts. It's tough. It's also the last game I played, so I got knocked out. So look, it's not a great night, obviously.
But you would have been there to defend it.
Let's not go there.
Yeah.
I don't know why I brought it up.
Richie said in that All Access, he was talking about following up Dan Carter, the greatest ever first five. And so often you hear players say, look, I don't care about who came before me. I want to be the best me that I can be. We've seen it in Auckland and the Blues, where everyone who's come after Carlos has said the same thing. It was quite cool to hear Richie saying, well, I know who was in front of me and I had to kind of address that. Oh, behind me anyway. I had to address that to become everything I could be. That was quite refreshing for me, Brent.
Yeah, it was, and I think it just comes back to the kind of character that Rich has, and he's got a deep care for this team. He's from Christchurch, and so has a pretty good understanding around the history of Canterbury Rugby and the Crusaders and who was in front of him. So, and he was fortunate enough in his first year that he got to learn and sit behind DC and have an understanding of what it took to be at that time what it was to probably be the best first five in the world. So he got the front row seat to what that looked like, but. I think he's acknowledged it, and I think he's taking that as a challenge, and he's embracing that challenge around what that looks like, because, if you look around, once in a generational type play, Dan Carter's probably it. So you're probably thinking, man, it's probably not going to happen again. But I think Richie, he's acceptance of Dan and what he's done for the club. But it's his time now, and he's he's trying to do the best put his best foot forward for himself, for us as a team moving forward. And those kind of accolades in the future, when he's done with rugby, then you'll be able to have the conversation around it. But at the moment, he's in pretty rich reign of form at the moment.
If my maths is right, I think this is year 3 basically, is him starting at 10, if he gets selected at 10 this year, as the All Blacks' first choice 10. Obviously Bowden was at fullback for 2 years there, apart from the odd test match. How long does he need to spend now? He's had 2 years to learn it. How long now does we have to give him to really consolidate that at international level?
I think the challenge is coming now. I think Bodie's made it pretty clear he's coming back to really go for the 10 as well, and the idea of the 10-15 axis is gone because of the form of Mackenzie, Geordie and Will, and the fact that Bodie just wants to get back to 10. So I think this will be the year that will probably bring the best out of Richie, because the genuine pressure of having to fight for that jersey will be on, and Bryn, you know him best, it seems to bring the best out of him.
Yeah, it does, and I think we've talked around his success at Super Rugby level, and he's probably been we have had 10s in behind, but probably not to the same caliber, and that's no disrespect to our 10s, and they're chipping away really nice, and they're great when given the opportunities. But I think having that pressure of Bodie, if he's coming back to have that stake his claim for being a number 10, that kind of pressure. It's going to be interesting to see how Richie goes, because he hasn't had that at the Crusaders, but he's going to have it at test level. So it'll be interesting, probably season for the All Blacks when he is selected, around how that pressure goes for him.
Well, with that said, he has to force Beauden Barrett into a bench spot in the All Blacks. That is no mean feat. If they are to have a fullback who isn't Beauden Barrett, that's an achievement in itself.
Yeah, it is. It is, but we've had some lean years as well. So it's as I say, if he can take charge and run that side like he does the Crusaders, that'll be the true testament to him. And I think he knows that. I get the feeling he knows that. The way Bryn speaks about it, he clearly does, and he's pretty. From me reading between the lines there, he seems pretty motivated to get in there and do that.
Let's touch on Damien McKenzie then. The red card on the weekend.
Yes.
Obvious red card from your point of view?
Yeah, well, I didn't actually see it on when the try was scored, because it was such a beautiful line run. I was just like, whoa, gee, that's a good line. But then on replay, it looked like Damien just got awkward, but it was shoulder to head, so we all know.
That's what it is.
These days, it's red.